Welcome. I'm going to demonstrate to you the Stellar Cyber Security Operations Platform. This is a demonstration that's geared for MSSPs and partners, as it highlights the features that would most appeal to an MSSP or a partner. So to start off with, the Stellar Security Operations Platform is an open XDR platform. Open in that it will accept data from anywhere and everywhere. Data sent to it from literally hundreds of sources. Such as we see here, we have open standards that we support for data being sent to the platform, and also vendor-specific parsers for many different technologies. And this is a plugin architecture that's always being added to. We also support API pulls into the platform. APIs that will allow you to collect data from many different types of technologies, such as endpoint, email, database, cloud security, and also IDP, PaaS, remote host, SaaS, and allow you to respond using those same API connectors. Especially for firewall and endpoint, we have response capabilities built into the platform that you can manually trigger or automate. The Security Operations Platform is multi-tenancy from the ground up. It's not an add-on, it's not an afterthought. From the ground up, we support multi-tenancy, and we support it in 3 levels. So we support it at the base tenant level or tenant partition. We support it as a tenant group or a partner, where you could give a user access to that group, that partner group, and through that partner group can manage all the tenants associated with that group. And then there's the root level. All data collected by the platform is organized per tenant. All the machine learning processes that run on the platform run within each tenant. All the connectors run within a tenant. Everything is organized and enforced at that tenant boundary. Very strict for us. So what you're looking at here, our main landing page or dashboard, are all security alerts generated by the platform. As the platform is ingesting raw data, we have many machine learning processes and jobs running that will generate close to 200 security alerts within the platform without a single rule being written. 200 security alerts are available to you. Of course, rules can be written to add to those if you'd like. And those security alerts that were generated by rules will also appear on what you see here dead center is the XDR kill chain. As a Stellar Cyber invention, we had the need to organize the security alerts in a way that an analyst would be able to identify severity very quickly. So we invented this kill chain. It's a superset of the MITRE ATT&CK framework, and it's based on tactic and technique. Just like MITRE ATT&CK. In fact, if you mouse over any phase, any of the 5 phases of this kill chain, starting with initial attempts, the least severe, you'll see the tactics that fall within this part of the kill chain. And the security detections all map to either these tactics or techniques in any one of these phases. Persistent foothold, exploration, propagation normally feed on each other, and then finally actions and techniques and that would fall within the exfiltration and impact stage of the kill chain. Down below, we have the individual tactics laid out for us with a bar chart that shows us how many detections fall within that tactic. For example, I can quickly drill down on exfiltration, and we can go right to exfiltration, and you'll see all the alerts and tactics and techniques that fall within this category that have been triggered within this time frame. We can see all of them by toggling this. And once we toggle that, you'll notice that there are 28 detections that are just within this exfiltration. If I show you all, well, let me deselect, and this will be all. You'll see that 228. Well, there's a couple of them here that are generated by means of rule, but we have about 190 plus that are generated just from out-of-the-box machine learning processes that are running. So let's go back to show just the alerts that have been triggered and just exfiltration. And we have a few here that I can drill down on to demonstrate. For example, outbytes anomaly. That's one that can easily show some machine learning advantages here. So if any one of these dashboards, we see a timeline with the number of alerts generated for that bucket. We see high and normal fidelity. We see geolocation here. And then we see the individual alerts. Now, as far as geolocation, that highlights some of our enrichment. So all data entering the platform, all data ingested, whether it's pushed to us via syslog, whether we're collecting it via an API, every single record coming into the platform goes through our data pipeline. That data pipeline, as it's traveling through the data pipeline before it's being stored in our data lake, all data is being enriched with geolocation on source and destination. All data is being enriched with host name and username information. All data is being enriched with IP reputation on source and destination, URL reputation, domain reputation, and that's all stored for every single record. It's also being normalized. So all firewall logs have the same metadata. All endpoint logs have the same metadata. And then this way machine learning picks up on those normalized records right away without any other tuning or any other processing to be done. The parsers are all written by us, included with your license. All the connectors and collectors are written by us, included with your license. So if there is some technology that we do not yet support, which is rare, but if there's some technology that we do not yet support, we can quickly turn that around for you. We normalize the data, and immediately detections will start working without any rules being written on your part. But back to these individual detections. So we're looking at Outbytes anomaly. You'll notice there's a knowledge base article that we can open up that will take us and explain this detection to you. Every single detection in the platform has a knowledge base article that will explain that detection. It'll explain the tactic and technique. It'll explain the key fields. It'll explain the use case. In other words, what do I do from here? But we can drill down on the data itself. So for example, the most severe is this top row. Let's drill down on the data itself. You'll see the geolocation and key fields are extracted for you right from the start. You'll see a human readable dynamic explanation of what took place. In other words, this IP transmitted an anomalously high amount of data, nearly 2.3 gig outbound, compared to its typical amount, which is 7.2K. That's why it's an anomaly. That's why it has a fidelity of 100. Severity of 35 is more of a static number based on where it lives in the kill chain, but all this information combines to an overall score. So the higher the fidelity, the higher the score. We have links that'll take us to the MITRE ATT&CK framework for exfiltration and automated exfiltration. Again, our knowledge base. Here we have a link that we can use to send to someone, send to another analyst that has access to the platform. It'll take them right back to this exact detection, and they'll see exactly what you're seeing. They'll see the key fields. They'll see all the details, every single data point. Nothing is hidden to you. Everything that came in from the remote log in the original record is here for you to examine forensically. Human readable table or its native JSON format. All here for you to peruse, and you can copy this and paste that into a workbook for forensic analysis, or use this to create another query if needed. It's all here for you to use. You can take actions right from here. Actions, simple actions like adding a comment or a tag, whitelisting this. Oh, this is I need an alert filter for it. Or you can send the source, destination, or both to a block list on a firewall right from here. You can block the user on on-prem AD or Azure AD. You can perform endpoint management tasks such as quarantining or shutting the host down or killing a process. Anything that's available over API to your endpoint management platform right from here. Of course, you can send an email. You can create an arbitrary script, any scripting language that you enjoy using or you're familiar with. As long as there's an SSH listener on that remote host running that script, we can call that script and pass any one of the data points of this alert as an argument to the script. Very powerful. In addition, we have what's called incidents. So machine learning is running on all the raw data, generating all these security alerts. We have another layer of machine learning called GraphML, because what I've done, and no doubt what you have done as analysts, is we receive a security alert and immediately we say, well, what else is this user doing? What was this user doing that led up to this? What is this asset doing? Where has this propagated to? What other systems are affected? I want to see all the related information from the security alert, not just the alert itself. So this could take us hours, days sometimes, to filter and put together all this information. GraphML can do this for us in near real time. It finds relationships between all these security alerts, and it finds these relationships through what we call entities or artifacts. So let's look at one. I'm going to look up EDR demo here. It'll show you this. So what we see here is a graphical representation of a collection of related security alerts that we call an incident. So this graphical representation here, we see all the artifacts or observables. We have external hosts, internal hosts, files, processes, services, users, and there are others here that aren't part of this, so there are other types of observables that we track. We can see all the security alerts and the relationships among them. We can also see it in a timeline. So as far as a timeline, we can see what happened first. Public to private exploit anomaly. What exactly is that? Well, our IDS, Stellar's IDS, picked up the delivery of malware to this internal asset. After that, Carbon Black picked up an alert. Carbon Black sent us alert saying that PowerShell was being run on that asset. And then also there was an anomalous application being run on that asset. And we've correlated that. Even Carbon Black itself within its own platform didn't correlate this to the same single thread of activity. But we correlated that to the same single thread of activity. Next we have this asset that received the malware going out to a web application that it had never visited before. So we have 26 minutes, then we have a few minutes of Carbon Black, and then we have another 20 minutes going out to this application it never did before. And then we have a user logging into O365 from this asset. A known user that normally logs in a certain time frame has logged in at an anomalous time. After that, we see O365 content filter changing. Keep moving myself around here. Content filter changing. And then we have our outbytes anomaly. All this is a single thread of activity. Well, what can we do? Well, right from here, what we can do is, just as we were showing before, take an action. Block that IP on the firewall. Stop this thing in its tracks, because this incident is a living thing. It will continue to grow within the Stellar platform as we see this activity continuing to propagate. But if we stop it in its tracks, the activity will stop. And this is sort of like a case management system in that this will never go away. This incident is a single object, a container for all these security alerts, and we can holistically change its priority. We can assign it to a user. We can also give it its own tags. We can give it its own description. We can do all these things right here from the platform, change its status, and then see a history of everything that's been done to it. So very, very powerful, our security incidents. This is an active development of our platform is taking place in this area right here. Something else that would be very interesting to MSSPs and partners is our automation. So we have an automation workbench, call it our playbooks, our automated threat hunting playbooks. And through a playbook, you can do all those actions that we were relating earlier that you can do manually, you can do in an automated way. Create a query, have conditions based on the results of that query, set the query to run at set intervals, and then perform one or more actions based on that condition, such as run the script or create your own security alert. And not only create your own security alert, but also I want to block on a firewall. I also want to send me a Slack message or send a webhook to some remote API system, like a ticketing system, for example, like ServiceNow or ConnectWise. All this is possible in an automated way. We have predefined templates, many actually, predefined templates that you can pick from. For example, here's one for emerging threat. Emerging threat, if I load that, will preset my query. And of course, I can change this and adjust this at any time. It will preset my condition, and it will preset my action. Simply sending an email, and it'll show you how we can dynamically include data from the alert in the email body, as well as the raw data as an attachment to the email message. But I also want to block on the firewall, so I'm going to go ahead and block this on a certain firewall that we have available to us. So automation, very popular, very powerful. We also have a full threat hunting workbench. The threat hunting workbench itself will allow you to see all the data in its raw format, data raw coming into the platform. So the alerts indice is where the Stellar generated security alerts will live. But all the other indices is our raw data, AWS data, scan data coming in from Nessus or Rapid7 or Qualys, syslog data from almost anywhere else, traffic data, firewall logs, and our own sensor traffic, malware data. All is raw data, Windows events, all the raw data. And you can search one or more indices at the same time. So for example, I can just, for the sake of simplicity, deselect alerts if it lets me. All right, let's just select traffic. So we're going to look at traffic data, for example. And I want to go to the last hour. So we can see alerts and data. And we also have a threat hunting library. So the threat hunting library is pre-tuned data dashboards. Let me pick this back up the last 24 hours. Pre-tuned data dashboards for raw data. These aren't security alerts. This is just raw data. Windows pre-tuned, pre-queried for PowerShell startups or account lockouts, remote applications, Linux privilege escalations, all login failures from everywhere, including cloud, O365, all these raw data records. And you can select there. Look at my firewall logs, for example. And now I can see firewall logs over time, their type, and then a table of all the results, all exposed to you. So these are some of the major features of our platform as they might appeal to an MSSP or an analyst. And I hope you enjoyed it. And there are many other specific features that weren't covered here in our quick demo that I will cover at a later time.